Good afternoon. I am Federico Fierli and I am a Science and Application Officer in EUMETSAT, that is the European Organization for the Meteorological Satellites. Thanks for inviting us to this session this afternoon, and I also want to thank my colleagues Alessandra Cacciari, Rosmuro and Cathy Clerbeau from the French CNRS that are co-authoring this presentation, and I also would like to thank the European Space Agency, the CANEMAI, the LATMOS, and the Satellite Application Facility, the ACSAF, for providing and supporting with the data. Particular mention goes to Copernicus, that is the European Commission program for Earth monitoring, that is already a cornerstone and will be more and more a cornerstone for the monitoring and providing a service on data on in Europe, and in that sense it will be also key for atmospheric composition and air quality. EUMETSAT is the European organization for weather satellites, and as you probably know, runs a series of programs that focus on meteorology. But EUMETSAT is also doing and will do a lot in the future on atmospheric composition and the potential on pollution monitoring application. The program of EUMETSAT spans from the polar satellite, so the METOP ones, and now we have a triad of satellites in orbit. The Meteosat came to the second generation, and in the near future we will have the third generation of the Meteosat with the new geostationary capability for monitoring also atmospheric compounds, a new generation, the second generation of the polar satellites, and also a series of carbon dioxide monitoring satellites. Then we will have overall 15 instruments, and they will operate operationally on long term, so the programs are structured until 2035. This goes together with the Copernicus component, that is a key one. For what concerns atmospheric composition, there is already in orbit since a couple of years the Sentinel-5P that is managed by European Space Agency, and the EUMETSAT will provide continuity with the Sentinel-4 that will be geostationary, and the Sentinel-5 missions that will complement and provide a longer-term view on the evolution of atmospheric composition. The Sentinel is composed by a constellation of 6 different types of satellite with multiple sensor and multiple version of them. We also work on supporting for the use of the data, so working with user, providing training, providing help, and also we work on exploring the application like the one that we'll discuss now, and also working on communication and outreach in events like this. So let's go to the core of our presentation. The main statement is that the changes due to economical and the social crisis, in that case, can be observed on pollution and also from satellite data. This is the case of 2009, where the economical crisis reduced the GDP, the gross domestic products of several countries by a fundamental fraction, and this was particularly strong in the case of Greece, and we have observed across the crisis, so across 2009, in that case a decrease of the nitrogen dioxide, that is a gas that is related to the intensity of the traffic, and this is mostly striking in the areas of the most populated town, in Thessaloniki and Athens. Also, it is possible to monitor the effect of the reduction of the industrial production, in that case on the sulfur dioxide, that is more related to the combustion process, industrial combustion processes, and that this goes along with the reduction from 2008 with the reduction of the GDP and of the industrial production index. In 2020, we have also observed the effect of lockdown on atmospheric pollution. This is now a quite iconic image that is based on the Sentinel-5P satellite, and is elaborated by S&T and KNMI, that is the principal investigator of the TRUPOM instruments and the European Space Agency, and this, of course, on behalf of the Copernicus program. The dashboard is reported here, to reply and to make this type of analysis. And we do observe that in the period that goes from 13 March to 13 April of this spring, the concentration of the nitrogen dioxide have halved with respect to the previous year, 2019, in the mostly polluted area as Paris, Milan, and Po Valley, Rome, and Madrid. The nitrogen dioxide is a molecule that is composed by two atoms of oxygen and one of nitrogen, and comes from the nitrogen oxide, that is just one nitrogen and one oxygen, and is produced by combustion at high temperature. So it is mostly emitted by transport, so by engines of the transport, and also in the production of heat, electricity, industrial processes, residential heating. But the main fraction, almost half of it, is produced by car and public transport. We can go to the global scale, so see if whether satellites are able to detect such changes on a global scale. And we can say yes, this is the average over the same period now from the METOP instruments, the GOM2 instruments on the METOP satellites. And we do see that in 2020, with respect to the previous year, there is a clear decrease in Europe, in the United States, and in South Africa. The decrease in China is less evident, and that is because the lockdown in China happened from 1 to 2 months before with respect to Europe, so the signature cannot be seen here. We have to make a short introduction, before going ahead on what is effectively measured by satellite. The satellite measures radiation from the top, and the radiation that comes from the ground and from the atmospheric layers is modified, as we see here, by the presence of pollutants. So we see here the so-called spectral signature of different type of gases. And this is what the satellite observes. So this type of reduction with the reference spectrum. So in principle, the satellite observation, they are sensitive to the whole atmosphere. The pollutants like NO2 that have a quick, relatively short lifetime, they stay confined close to the ground. So the satellite observation is relevant of the first kilometer of the atmosphere. Then they are not directly comparable with the ground-based stations that compose the air quality network, because these are at the so-called nose level, are close to the ground and close to the emissions. However, satellite can provide information on key pollutants that compose the cycles of chemical pollution in the atmosphere. For instance, the nitrogen dioxide is a precursor for the presence of the tropospheric ozone, that is a pollutant. Another chapter that will touch briefly here, but is very important, is the particulate matter. Particulate matter are the so-called aerosol, and these also comes from complex processes, and among these processes there is the production from gas, from organic emissions of the so-called volatile organic compounds. So let's make a focus on what has happened in the Po Valley is a region where the lockdown happened before with respect to other states in Europe, and where the lockdown was severe due to the intensity of the virus spreading. And we do see that the satellite data from Sentinel-FP they show a decrease in 2020 over the whole Po Valley, with the most intense spots in the most polluted area and in Lombardy. We also see the signature of the towns of Turin and the towns of Emilia-Romagna. This goes together with the recent report that was provided by the Emilia-Romagna Environmental Agency through the Life Prepare project, that reports based on the data of consumption, fuel consumption, and energy consumption, of a reduction of the nitrogen oxide emissions by almost 40 to 50%. That is, also quantitatively in good agreement with the reduction of the tropospheric amount that has been observed by satellite. In order to see how fast was the decrease, we can see the time series for year 2020 over the Po Valley, that is seen here in red, with respect to 2019. The lockdown phase is here as shaded, and we do see that there is an abrupt decrease of the concentration with almost a halving during the whole lockdown period. What we should take into account while comparing 2 years is that meteorology has a huge role in also in determining the total concentration, the amount of a pollutant, because especially in a place like Po Valley, the effect of ventilation and of stagnation is a key, and we do see that the difference, the intra-year difference before the lockdown period can be attributed to the absence of ventilation or stagnation. This is the index of stagnation. So we do see that effectively we had high stagnation and high concentration in 2020 with respect to 2019. But in any case, the difference that is observed later during the lockdown cannot attributed solely to possible difference in weather, and is attributed to the changes in emissions. One important question is whether 2020 was exceptional, not only with respect to 2019, but also with respect to previous years. There is also an effect of longer-term pollutants decrease, at least in Europe, that is due to the implementation of the measures to contain air quality. And here, still again, thanks to the Emilia-Romagna Environmental Agency, they provided a long time series of the reduction of the traffic traffic-related concentration of NO2, and we do see that there is a decrease that is about 20 to 30% from the previous two decades. And again, the GOM2 instrument from EUMETSAT comes also to help us at a more global scale, because we can go back to 2007 thanks to the three different generations, and we do see that if we plot here the time series of for the winter-spring period of the previous 13 years, we do see that there is a decrease during spring due to the change of the average behavior of NO2, but however the decrease that we have observed in 2020 is outside of the variability of the previous year. So yes, that was clearly exceptional with respect to the past. The same behavior cannot be observed for every pollutant, because the pollutants, of course, depends on the type of emissions, and not all the emissions were subject or were touched by the shutdown. This is the example of ammonia. Ammonia is a very volatile molecule that is produced by agriculture, so both by the use of the soils and by the manure management, and then on average is concentrated over highly cultivated areas, and also where most of manure production is located. So there is again a strong maximum in the Po Valley and also in the Benelux and the German areas. Focusing on the Po Valley, we do see that there are no striking changes from 2020 with respect to the previous years. So the agricultural emission looks not to be touched. But I mean, in order to have a proper assessment, we need to work and to have data from the reference stations. And again, here we report the results from the PREPARE project that has been mentioned before, and this gathers all the stations, all the reference station for air quality on the Po Valley region. The distribution is reported here. The report provides an assessment of the decrease in March-April 2020, that is almost halved the concentration at the ground of NO2 with respect to the previous years, and I mean these support the quality of the satellite analysis. So the concentration in the troposphere and at the ground, that goes together. And also shows that there are no changes in the concentration of ammonia. Another important point that was not touched by satellite is a very slight decrease of the particulate matter of the aerosol. In that case, the coarser size, the PM10. In fact, these data bring to the estimate, to the conclusions that the stronger decrease is related to the strong decrease of transport-related emissions, while a lesser decrease of emissions due to the industry and to energy production was observed or was estimated. While the domestic heating has increased. I mean, all these type of emissions, they contribute both to the particulate matter and to the nitrogen oxides. But being the nitrogen oxides more dominated by the transport, these may explain the stronger reduction. While for the particulate matter, we can also consider the channel of production from the volatile organic compound that we have mentioned before. So there is a more complex situation for the PM. While we have, as we may expect, the agricultural production and the manure didn't had changes from in 2020 with respect to the previous year or years, and then the concentration of ammonia remained stable, or the variation are mostly related to weather problems. After lockdown, we take here again the example of nitrogen dioxide that has a regime of low concentration during late spring. However, from satellite on the Po Valley, we do observe a larger difference during the first phase of the lockdown, and then similar values between 2019 and 2020 after the lifting of the measures for lockdown. I mean, the same is observed in the Paris area by Air Paris, that is the entity that monitor, forecast, and assess the pollution in Ile-de-France. And during lockdown, the pollution in the most polluted part of the town goes back to the background levels, to the surrounding background levels, while after the lifting of the lockdown, there is again a substantial difference between the two type of sites. So, I mean, giving a similar view of what we had from satellite on the Po Valley. So we can draw a few conclusions. I mean, the first one that is, is positive for us who work and provide satellite data is that such observation do well in observing the tendencies and the changes in the concentration in conditions like the ones from the COVID crisis, and also the data agrees in their behavior when compared to the reference ground-based data. From the methodological point of view, it's very important to disentangle the role of meteorology and to take into account existing trends in pollutants. This is crucial to estimate the effect of a ceasing or a strong reduction of emission like the COVID-19 crisis. From a quantitative point of view, the observations, both ground-based and from satellite, and the preliminary reports taking into account the emission, shows that the nitrogen oxides decreased by almost 40% with respect to the previous year and years. And this is related mainly to the traffic, and ammonia, other species like ammonia that are related to other emissions, in that case the agricultural one, were almost stable. The particulate matter, that is a fundamental also pollutant and harmful also for health itself, is only slightly reduced, at least in the Po Valley, and its behavior is related to a series of processes and is then more complex, so is more subject to weather condition and also to the production from gaseous pollutants. So with this, I thank you for your attention, and I'm most happy to receive any type of comment and question on the chat. Thanks again.